I have to admit, I was pretty excited for this one. I really wanted to praise Titan for making the Titan Series safety squat bar in America with US steel, for evolving the design, for actually having it in stock rather than make us wait 3 months for pre-orders, for their quick shipping and good packaging. And when this thing came in, I was pumped and really wondered, could Titan upgrade what is widely considered one of their best products? Well, I mean, it's made in the US for the most part, and that's a big deal, right? And they did make some changes, and that's something, but there's some cut corners and questionable decisions that keep this thing from being a knockout of the park. If you really paid attention in the intro, you'll notice I said I wanted to praise Titan for evolving the design, not their design, which is an important note. Titan's original safety squat bar was an absolute crapshoot. A terrible design that resulted in a bad camber angle, a ton of whip, and just an all-around Titan classic mess. Then came version 2, which was so much better, but that's because it was essentially a ripoff of Elite FTS's yoke bar. As they say over there, if you can't beat them, copy them, and that's what they did and created what is widely considered one of the best, if not the best, budget safety squat bars out there with version 2 of this bar. But this is the Titan Series version of this bar, and I guess we can call it version 3-ish because they have made a few adjustments to the design, which we'll point out. One of those changes, which I do really like, only applies if you have an early iteration of version 2, which I'll explain in a bit, but I admit that tweak really only made Titan's bar more like Elite's. A few of the other changes really have me disappointed because they were so close. It almost has me wishing for the days before I was a handsome YouTube star and didn't have to spend hours alone in my garage talking to myself late at night and purchasing all this equipment to stay relevant. I'll be the first to admit there are a good amount of exercises you can do with these things. A few of which we'll demonstrate on these B-rolls, but I mostly use mine for 4 movements: squats, lunges, good mornings, and Hatfield squats, which are technically a variation of a squat. That's not to say I can't do a bunch of variations of those 4 or add in a ton of other movements you can do with these things, but I mostly program it in to give my shoulders a break from that wide grip I use when I low bar squat. And also to force me out of the bad habits I seem to pick up as I add a lot of volume or weight on my squat days. If you take a quick look at the measurements between these versions, and all of these bars are linked in the description if you want to take a look for yourself, it does look like they're nearly identical, and I will say, based on those specs, it's pretty close, but there's a few differences between these versions which are pretty important. And a lot of similarities, which I'll highlight here as well. Since they're basically the same, they fit well in 46 or 47 inch wide racks like a T3 or this PR5000, but if you've got a wider rack, neither you or this bar are going to be very happy about you trying to shove it in there. That is, unless you use sandwich J-cups to create some more space, which is what I do on my 49 inch wide Rogue rack. Version 2 has a chrome, not hard chrome finish, but it's an upgrade over the black zinc this one has because black zinc isn't a particularly durable finish, and I typically prefer my big black shafts to be smooth, but this is thinly and poorly applied, so that's almost got a sandy texture to it. And mine arrived a little scuffed and scratched up, even though the packaging was pretty good on it. Maybe exceptional if you're comparing it to some of the other stuff I've gotten from Titan. The issue with black zinc is that it scratches and wears away quickly. It's actually one of my least favorite finishes, and while I do like a good coating on my shaft, it's not a particularly good one there. Check out my Ohio bar. You can see where my traps rest when I squat, and this is a bar I hardly use. Because unless Winnie is watching, I probably have too many of them. So on the shaft here, it'll be fine. You're not really making contact with the finish. But on the sleeves, it'll be ground down by your plates in no time at all. Speaking of the sleeves, they switched from a smooth sleeve in version 2 to ribbed sleeves here, and there's personal preference whether you enjoy it ribbed or smooth, but I enjoy both experiences, so I have no issue there. But I do take a little bit of issue with how the sleeves are attached. I guess you could say the sleeves aren't the only thing that got screwed in this review, because they're held on by a single set screw, which at least makes assembly really easy. Sure, it makes for a prettier bar since we can no longer poke fun of the welds from version 2, But clearly this is a cost-saving measure because it allows them to ship it disassembled. I'm just not really a big fan. Now, I am no engineer, but I'm fairly certain welds hold better than me tightening down this single Allen key. But technically the Mars bar uses this same exact system. Actually, these are probably the exact same sleeves the new Mars bar is using. So it's not like it's the first time we're seeing this. At least they're still Olympic-sized sleeves, which isn't always a given with this type of bar, though it is becoming more common, so you'll be able to use your normal collars. But next to the finish, I find the sleeve attachment to be another thing I don't really love about this bar. It features the same camber angle of 22 degrees and camber drop of 5 inches as version 2, which makes these pretty well balanced bars. Maybe not quite as great as Elite FTS's with that 6-inch camber drop, but functionally these bars are pretty great and they work really well for Hatfield squats, which is really important because those are literally the only squats I enjoy doing. Probably because I can cheat and feel like a real man. Now that means it's functionally identical to version 2, unless you have an earlier version of version 2. This is getting confusing, let me explain. Originally, version 2 had a thicker padding of just over 2 inches, which made the bar sit a little higher and threw off the balance some. That older version had the all-white logo. I lent mine out, so I stole this pic from Adam of Garage Gym Lab. But he can't do anything about it because I'll be reviewing his preacher pad soon, so he's gotta be nice to me. At some point, Titan listened to feedback and brought that padding down to 1.5 inches, which helped the balance and was actually a pretty big improvement. Who knew half an inch could make such a difference? So, yay Titan, but they get like half credit. Because again, they just matched what Elite FTS had already done, since now it's the same thickness as their pad. Here's the issue. It seems like the pad and vinyl are the same exact ones that are used in version 2. Same dimensions, same everything. Now, I could be wrong. I'm pretty good at that. And I'm not saying Titan would ever do anything questionable, but they look identical. So is the bar made in the US and the pad and vinyl imported? Either way, it's a firm pad and it's pretty comfortable. Not that strapping hundreds of pounds on your back is ever a particularly calming experience, but it's essentially carpet padding wrapped around the bar and glued to make it one piece. Nothing exciting, but it works. The vinyl, like before, is fine and should last a long time, but nothing worth spending any real time on. I like the handles on this bar over version 2, even if one of mine is a little bit crooked. Now, I don't really have any problems with the ribbed or contoured handles, but I want to put my fingers where I want to put my fingers, and to me it always felt a little bit weird that they had to fit in designated slots. So now I can put my hands wherever I want on this thing, which feels a little bit more natural to me. Speaking of handles, these are still removable, which is great, and it allows you to perform JM presses with it, but you can also use other handles to add variety to what you can do with this safety squat bar. Even if we're being honest and admitting that we'll mostly just squat with it. So if you have the Bells of Steel SS3, for example, which who really has multiple safety squat bars? That would be weird. You can use those handles as well, or if you feel the need to introduce more toys into the gym to spice things up a little bit, you can use whatever handles you have. Titan Fitness was clearly taking a stab at Rep because they released this bar right as Rep was beginning to ship theirs, and posting on their Instagram how quickly this thing sold out. Big claims from a company that hasn't actually told us how much this will eventually cost, nor do we have any idea how many they had in stock. Now remember, version 2 was widely considered the best budget safety squat bar out there. But this $300 price is an introductory price. And I've reviewed enough equipment to know that some companies play games with prices. I'm not about to name names, but there are certain companies that are really good at waiting for influencers and reviewers to crank out content and then they jack the prices up. Now, I'm not saying Titan's gonna do that, but I do wonder a little bit given their history. But I also give them credit for calling this an introductory price, but opinions change when things cost more money, and here's the real issue with the price. It used to be that Titan was priced $200 less than the Elite FTS yoke bar, and there wasn't as many options out there. Now, that price difference is shrinking, and with other options like Rep Safety Squat Bar, which we'll be doing a review on soon, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on me having to do yet another friggin' video about squatting, well, I don't know that that choice is so cut and dry. And I know I've been pretty hard on this thing, but Probably deservedly so, because I was really excited for them to upgrade what was really a pretty good bar already. And that excitement grew as it shipped very quickly and arrived within a week. But is it worth whatever the extra price for the American version is over version 2? No. The only reason I'd buy this bar is if I got it for that original price and absolutely refused to buy imported equipment. Otherwise, version 2 is still a great choice. If you enjoyed watching this video, why not watch me in hell and check out this video where I review another safety squat bar? Like, comment, and subscribe to boost us on that algorithm. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.